They told him it was just old age, slow blood flow, weaker performance. That's normal after 60, the doctor said with a shrug. But 3 months later, he landed in the ER with what looked like a heart attack. Turns out, it wasn't his heart. It was blocked blood vessels down there. No one told him that poor circulation doesn't just affect your legs and chest. It can silently destroy your intimacy, your confidence, and your connection with the person you love. Hi, I'm Dr. James. I've spent over 30 years helping men regain control of their health, their energy, and yes, their ability to be close again. I've treated thousands of men over 60, and I can tell you one thing with certainty. Aging is not the problem. The real problem is what no one's talking about, and how simple changes can turn it all around. Most people think baking soda is just for cleaning or baking, but when you use it like this, the way I'm about to show you, it has a powerful effect on blood flow, artery flexibility, nitric oxide levels. That's right. Something sitting in your kitchen right now might be the missing piece to feeling younger, more alive, and reconnected in the bedroom. And don't worry, John Baum, I'm not about to throw medical jargon at you. I'll walk you through exactly how it works, why it's effective, and how to use it safely. But fair warning, doing it the wrong way could backfire, especially at our age. So stay with me, because in just a minute, I'm going to share the method that's been quietly changing the lives of men over 60 across the country. Before we go any further, if practical, life-changing health advice matters to you, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell. That way, you'll never miss another tip designed to help you feel stronger, more connected, and in control of your health. And if you're finding this helpful so far, just type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me make this even more useful for you. Let's start with a truth most men over 60 never hear from their doctor. And it's costing them more than they realize. You see, the quiet decline in blood flow that begins in your 50s doesn't just affect your energy. It slowly chips away at your strength, your mood, and your ability to feel close to the person you love. It starts small. Colder hands and feet, feeling winded quicker, maybe just not in the mood as often, but over time it builds. And if you ignore it, it can turn into something far more serious. One common problem in men over 60, poor blood circulation. I remember a man named Walter, 68 years old, retired, married for over 40 years. He came into my office, not for a heart issue, not even for intimacy concerns. He just said, "Doc, I don't feel like myself anymore." His hands were cold, even in summer. He was falling asleep earlier every evening. And though he didn't say it directly at first, I could sense he was quietly carrying something heavier. A feeling of loss he couldn't explain. When we talked more, he admitted intimacy had become rare, awkward, and sometimes even painful. Not physically, but emotionally. He felt like he was slowly disappearing from the man he used to be. What Walter was going through is far more common than most people realize. In fact, it's one of the most widespread and overlooked issues facing men over 60. And it all starts with blood flow. As we age, the inner walls of our blood vessels begin to stiffen. The arteries become less flexible. The blood doesn't move as freely. And the smaller vessels, the ones responsible for keeping us warm, energized, and responsive, they start to close down like old pipes. It doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in, silently stealing vitality little by little until we start calling it just aging. But it's not just aging. It's poor circulation. And it doesn't only affect your physical health. It affects how you feel as a man, as a husband, as a human being. It can leave you frustrated, disconnected, and wondering if the best years are behind you. I've seen men doubt themselves, question their worth, even avoid affection. Not because they don't care, but because their body isn't responding the way it used to, and no one ever told them why. The good news, this decline isn't inevitable. There are ways to support circulation, restore flexibility to your blood vessels, reignite that spark you thought was gone for good. And believe it or not, one of the simplest tools I've ever recommended is probably sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now. Yes, I'm talking about baking soda, but not in the way you've seen on the back of the box. Let me show you how this humble household item, when used the right way, can begin to reverse the very process that's been holding you back, and why the next few minutes may just change the way you think about your body forever. If you're still here and this message is resonating with you, go ahead and type one in the comments. It lets me know you're listening, you care about your health, and you're ready to take the next step. Now, let's move forward to the second key insight. 2. The serious consequences of poor circulation. I'll never forget the moment Charles broke down in my office. He was 72, proud, always well put together, the kind of man who took care of everyone else, his family, his neighbors, even the stray cat that wandered into his yard. But that day, he looked smaller somehow, not physically, emotionally. He leaned forward, lowered his voice, and said, "Doc, I don't feel like a man anymore." His blood work looked fine. His heart sounded steady. But I knew what was going on. His body wasn't delivering blood where it mattered most, not just to his hands and feet, but to the places tied to his confidence, his sense of intimacy, and his connection with his wife. Poor circulation wasn't just affecting his health. It was threatening his identity. It was quietly unraveling his identity. You see, when your blood flow slows down, it's like the lights in your house start dimming, room by room. First, it's your energy. Then, it's your sleep. Then, it's your ability to respond when intimacy calls. And it's not just physical, it gets into your head. You start to doubt yourself. You feel distant from your partner, even when they're lying right beside you. That slow breakdown isn't something you can fix with a pill or wish away with time. It takes understanding what's actually going wrong inside. Medically, it comes down to your endothelial function. That's the lining of your blood vessels. When it's damaged, you lose nitric oxide production. Without nitric oxide, your vessels can't expand. Your blood can't flow freely. And guess which ones suffer first? The smallest vessels, the ones involved in arousal, memory, warmth, and vitality. What starts as mild fatigue or a softer response in the bedroom can become something much more serious. An early sign of vascular disease, increased risk of stroke, even erectile dysfunction that stops responding to medication. And sadly, most men don't realize any of this until it's already affecting their lives in ways they never saw coming. But here's what gives me hope every single day. Your body wants to heal. Blood vessels can regain flexibility, nitric oxide levels can be naturally restored, and you don't need to rely on synthetic pills, especially not the kind with side effects that scare you more than the symptoms themselves. In fact, there's a powerful yet simple way to begin repairing this system, with something you've probably used your entire life, but never like this. And when I started sharing this approach with my older patients, many of them came back saying, "I didn't think I'd ever feel this way again." So now let's take a look at how baking soda, when used properly, can support this healing process from the inside out, and why it's far more than just a home remedy. 3. Baking soda, a simple, overlooked solution. I remember Harold, a soft-spoken 67-year-old retired math teacher. He came to me after trying everything: supplements, prescription pills, even embarrassing devices he'd ordered off late-night television. "Nothing sticks," he said, shaking his head. "I feel like I'm chasing shadows." He was tired, not just in his body, but in his spirit. Then I asked him a question that caught him off guard. "Do you have baking soda in your kitchen?" He looked confused. "You mean for cookies?" I smiled. "Yes, but not just for cookies. Most people think of baking soda as something you put in the fridge, sprinkle in pancake batter, use to scrub your sink. but few realize what it can do inside the human body, especially for men dealing with poor circulation and its silent effects on their energy, confidence, and connection. Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, isn't some miracle powder. It's a simple compound that, when used correctly, can support better blood flow and oxygen delivery in a way that genuinely matters as we age. Why baking soda matters more than you think. Here's what makes it powerful. As we get older, our bodies naturally become more acidic due to poor diet, stress, and declining kidney function. That acid buildup does more than cause discomfort. It can constrict blood vessels, reduce the availability of oxygen in your bloodstream. Two things you definitely don't want, especially if you're already struggling with circulation. A small amount of baking soda mixed with water, taken at the right time, can help neutralize excess acidity. It gently balances your body's pH, which allows blood to move more freely. And when blood flows more freely, something remarkable happens. More strength, more warmth, more responsiveness, even in areas you thought were beyond help. I've seen men like Harold start using it under proper guidance and notice small but meaningful changes. More energy in the morning, less stiffness, a spark of interest returning where there had been silence. Of course, it's not a cure-all. It doesn't replace healthy habits like good nutrition, movement, or sleep, but for many, it's been the beginning of a very real turnaround. Because when the body is supported correctly, it wants to respond. And in some cases, it responds more powerfully than they thought possible. But I must be honest with you. What works gently when done right can become harmful when rushed, guessed at, or misused. That's where things can get tricky and potentially dangerous. The danger of using it the wrong way. I'll be straight with you. I've seen both sides of baking soda. I've seen it help men reclaim their vitality and confidence, and I've also seen it backfire when used carelessly. Take Dennis. He was 70 years old, active, still golfing twice a week. He read something online about baking soda helping with blood flow and thought, why not? So he started taking a teaspoon every morning and another at night, thinking more would mean faster results. Within a week, he was bloated. His blood pressure spiked. He ended up in the ER with heart palpitations and confusion. His kidneys, already weakened by years of silent stress, couldn't handle the overload. Here's the truth. Baking soda isn't dangerous by itself, but it becomes risky when people treat it like a quick fix without understanding how it actually works. It's not like taking a vitamin. It's a powerful compound that affects your internal chemistry, your body's pH levels, your fluid balance, your sodium intake. And for older adults, especially those on blood pressure medication or with kidney concerns, that balance is fragile. Your body at this stage of life works like a finely tuned instrument. Too much sodium, even from something as natural as baking soda, can throw off your heart rhythm, cause swelling, push your blood pressure into dangerous territory. I've had to explain this to more than one well-meaning patient, men who just wanted to feel alive again, but didn't realize the cost of guessing. The good news? These risks are completely avoidable when you use it the right way. And right doesn't just mean a smaller spoon, it means proper timing, good hydration, awareness of your medications, and careful attention to how your body responds. I always tell my patients, just because something is natural doesn't mean it's automatically safe in any amount. Water is natural, but drink too much too fast, and it can still harm you. Baking soda can support real healing, but only when it's used with care, with respect, and, ideally, under guidance. Now, if you're still with me, I know you're not just looking for a shortcut. You're looking for something that works, something that helps you feel like yourself again without putting your health at risk. So let me show you how to do this the right way, because in the next moment, I'll walk you through. the exact method I use with my own patients, the safe timing, the right dosage, and one key trick that makes all the difference: 5. How to use it safely. When I bring up baking soda with my patients, their first question is always, "Okay, doc, but how do I actually use it?" And that's exactly the right question, because as we've seen, the difference between helping your body and harming it comes down to how you use it. For most generally healthy adults over 60, the safest place to start is 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda stirred into a full glass of water, taken on an empty stomach, once per day, ideally first thing in the morning, not after a meal, not before bed, and absolutely not multiple times per day. That may sound small, but when it comes to your internal balance, small is smart. I remember one of my patients, Ray, 74 years old, struggling with energy crashes in the afternoon. Circulation issues made even a short walk feel like a chore. We started with that simple protocol: 1/4 teaspoon each morning, empty stomach, full glass of water. And within 3 weeks he told me, "I don't know what it is, doc, but I feel clearer, more steady. My hands aren't freezing anymore." A crucial but overlooked key: hydration. Here's something most people don't think about: hydration. Baking soda works best when your body is well hydrated. That means drinking water throughout the day, not just when you're thirsty. When your blood is well hydrated, circulation improves. Oxygen travels more efficiently. Your organs, including those responsible for intimacy, function better. So don't just focus on the baking soda itself. Think of it as part of a bigger shift in how you care for your body. And if you're on medications, especially for high blood pressure, heart, or kidney issues, always talk to your doctor first. This isn't about fear, it's about respect. Your body has been through decades of life. It deserves thoughtful attention. You wouldn't drive a classic car without checking the engine first, right? Treat your health the same way. Most men don't need a miracle. They just need one small win to build hope. One positive change that tells them, "You're not done, you're not broken, you're still in there." That's what this simple daily habit can be, the beginning of that change. Now, if all of this is sounding promising, stay with me just a little longer, because in this final part, I'm going to share the story of a 76-year-old man who followed this exact method, and one tiny addition that took his results to an entirely new level. You'll want to hear what happened next. Conclusion. Frank's story. There's a man named Frank I still think about often. He was 76, widowed, quiet, the kind of man who didn't speak unless it truly mattered. He came to see me after hearing about baking soda from a mutual friend. He wasn't searching for a miracle. He wasn't chasing lost youth. He just wanted to feel a little more like himself again, more alive, more connected, maybe even capable of opening his heart to someone new. We started him on the exact routine I've shared with you. A small dose of baking soda in the morning, careful hydration, gentle observation of how his body responded. But Frank added one more thing, something simple, yet so often overlooked: consistency. He didn't just try it once and forget. He didn't look for overnight results. He respected the process. He gave his body the time and space to respond. And slowly it did. The changes weren't dramatic, but they were steady. More warmth in his hands. Better sleep. A deeper presence in conversation. Then one day, with a small smile, he said, "I didn't think I'd ever feel this kind of closeness again, but I do." What I've shared with you may sound simple, but don't underestimate its power. We've talked about how poor circulation silently affects millions of men over 60, how it drains energy, weakens intimacy, and makes you feel like your best years are behind you. We've explored how baking soda, when used the right way, can help restore pH balance, support blood flow, and breathe life back into places that have felt numb or quiet for far too long. And we've made something else very clear. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about giving your body what it needs, with care, with patience, with respect. If you've been feeling tired, disconnected, or even a little hopeless about what's been slipping away, I want you to know this: it's not too late. The capacity for healing is still in you. Your body hasn't given up. It's just been waiting for you to listen. So maybe this small change, one glass, one habit, one quiet decision to take your health, energy, and confidence seriously, is your place to begin. Not someday, but today. Because you're not done yet. You still matter. And there's more life left to feel.